Hello everyone, welcome again to Inspiration Academy. So today we will be discussing about F5 Ltm interview questions and answers part 2. Part 1 has already been uploaded. Hope you have enjoyed that. Our main focus to upload videos is that people will get different interview questions and answers, and we have collected from different scenarios we have been gone through so that it can help you in live environment and in attending interview questions in different organizations. So we will go through again a list of 5 questions today, and we will discuss answers for each one in detail. So question number 1 is, what is the difference between node and a pool member? So people generally ask this. This is a simple question, but there is a catch in this. People ask that, can I apply HTTP health monitor in pool? This question would be, can I apply HTTP health monitor in node? So what do you think? So answer is no. We can only apply ping, or you can say ICMP health monitor on node. Now question would be why? If you don't have knowledge, if you have not created the node and the pool member, then you will stuck on that. So basically node and the pool member are the two terms which are commonly used in F5 Ltm setup. So difference between a node and a pool member is that node is designated by only the IP address of the server, which is called a backend server. So you can say, as an example, 192.168.10.10 is represented as a node. It's a node, you can say it's just an IP address of the server. And what is then the pool members? Pool member can include an IP address and a service, which is again difference is 192.168.10.10. This is the IP and the port number. So we can say pool member is a combination of IP and port. So why I said that, can I apply HTTP health monitor or TCP health monitor? That's why we cannot apply TCP or HTTP health monitor, because node is just an IP address of your server. So health monitors can be applied on pool member, and port, or you can say pool, which is a collection of pool member. So how I can see? Let me go through that. So we will go to the nodes, then we will click on particular node. Here you can see health monitor. So it is called node default, node specific, or none. The same way you can click on local traffic, pools, pool member, and that there is a health monitor. So when you go to member, either it can be applied on pool, which is we have applied gateway ICMP, which is a combination of different pool members, or we can apply on the particular member. Suppose I have another member, then I will add one more member. First, I will give address as 10.1.20.151. Port number I am giving HTTP. When I go to advanced, it will say, should it be member specific or should it be inherit from pool? So I will say I want to implement member specific health monitor. So see, I have applied on the pool gateway ICMP. Here I can apply member specific health monitor. So I can either apply inherit from pool or I can apply member specific. So when you apply member specific, you can apply HTTP. Pool is having another health monitor and your pool member has other health monitor. So that is how you can distinguish. You can apply either on pool member or not. I hope it's clear to everyone. Next question is very much important. It's been asked in almost all interview. It's been used in live scenarios and it's been used many times where asymmetric routing is happening. So what is SNAT? How it is different from source NAT? People get confused between SNAT and source NAT. So before that, I want you to understand difference between NAT and SNAT in F5. So virtual servers are not only the objects that can be listened to traffic, NAT and SNAT can also do. That is one important person. So what is NAT? So NAT is basically one-to-one mapping between two IP address in F5. So for instance, between a private IP and your external public IP. This means that if any traffic coming from external client sends a request to the public IP address on which NAT is listening, it will automatically get translated to the internal IP address that is defined in NAT. So the same concept is applied when internal node wants to communicate with internet. So in this case also, your internal IP gets translated to external IP, thus this will make your internal IP hidden. So this is sometimes called hide NAT also. How to configure NAT is basically you need to go to your F5, then there is a term local traffic tab, then you need to go to address translation NAT. So in F5, there is only one-to-one mapping. So you need to give the name of the NAT F5, NAT address, and original IP address, which must be private. That's all. So when you configure NAT in this, you will have the option to map only one IP address to another. If there is need to create one many to one mapping, then how you can create an F5. So my question is, as seen in the picture, that NAT is only applied one-to-one mapping. But if there is need to apply many to one mapping, then how you can do it? Just take a break and get the answer. So answer would be SNAT. So that's why SNAT has been introduced in F5. One of the most important cases like SNAT has been introduced is first one is you can apply SNAT for many to one. Like when many internal IP address wants to communicate with internet, then you can apply SNAT, where your traffic, you create a SNAT, and SNAT is then communicated with other IP network. So first question is why we need SNAT? What is the advantage of SNAT? Why we need SNAT? Why it has been come in F5? This is the question. So answer to this question is SNAT is first of all called as secure NAT. Basically, it's a combination of many to one mapping and have many advantages. First advantage is SNAT provides a more secure mechanism when translating internal IP address to public routable IP address. So in that case, and vice versa. So this is because SNAT is unidirectional, they can only listen. So this is very important. So SNAT is unidirectional and they can only listen for traffic coming from a specific origin address and not destined to SNAT address. So that's why it's called secure NAT, because your connection would be listening on original IP address, not destined to SNAT address. SNAT can also be used to use one routable IP address for many different nodes. Another advantage is SNAT can be used for many nodes in F5 on internal network who wants to communicate with internet. This is a very important thing. SNAT is very, very useful. Another big advantage is SNAT is also often used to solve routing complexity. So in a typical scenario, when external client wants to connect to virtual server and your connection is established, after that pool member needs to get selected and then another connection is established between your F5 and pool member. So in that case, when looking at connection flow, since F5 is a full proxy model, so when looking at the connection flow, the destination IP address is different depending on if the connection is from external or internal site. However, the source IP address will remain same without SNAT. So when pool member responds, the big IP will reply back to client. So let me explain you what I want to say. First of all, answer can be detailed, but I will start with short one. SNAT is generally used to resolve asymmetric routing. The two advantage which we talked about, first was connection is listen to the traffic coming from a origin specific IP not destined to SNAT address. Second one is it will allow you to use one external routable IP address for many different nodes on internal network. So basically, SNAT is used when to maintain a symmetric routing. So packet comes from unknown source on the internet and users does not have routing table. So if no NAT is done, packet flow will be like this. So let's say public source, let's say 2.2.2.2 hits F5 external IP web based on internal routing and LB algo. It will forward packet to the known destination server in backend. So client coming from public IP 2.2.2.2 will be first connecting to F5 web, which is here. Then it will initiate connections based on the load balancing algo on the pool member. So once pool member is done, return packet with no NAT. Suppose there is no SNAT, has destination as public IP, which is not in the routing table of the server. So it will send a packet to the default gateway, which either can be core switch or the router. So here the packets would be taking different part. Client send a packet to F5, F5 will send to the server, but when pool member responds, it will see that I don't have this IP. Since there is no netting done, I don't have a routing table. I will send it to the default gateway, which is either a router or a firewall. So in that case, your asymmetric client traffic is coming from F5 to the server, but server is sending traffic to the router or a firewall. So client will reject that connection. So to resolve this asymmetric routing issue, we generally perform SNAT. So that's why SNAT is very, very useful in these cases where your default gateway. So SNAT can be useful when your server gateway is not F5 and you want your original traffic and return traffic to go to take same path. So to resolve this, we configure SNAT. How to configure SNAT? Let's see. So you go to local traffic, address translation. Here is the list. So you click on create. You need to give translation IP. This translation IP address can be of three types. One is IP address you need to give. It can be it is generally routable IP, or you can give SNAT pool because there are maximum one pool can contains multiple IP addresses. So it is an advantage when there are more than 6553 connections. So to achieve this, when you are using one external routable IP for different networks, different nodes on an internal network, you need to use port translation so that it can identify unique traffic. Or you can use automap. In automap, it will translate to the IP address on which your internal server is. So once you do that, you finish it and your SNAT automap or SNAT pool can be configured. In pool, you can select it based on different lists. So how to configure is you need to go to local traffic, address translation, and SNAT list, SNAT pools, or you can select SNAT translation list. So this is how you configure it. So this is very important. You need to know the use cases. Everyone tells that SNAT is a source address translation or a secure address translation, and they know that it is used to resolve your asymmetric routing. But What is the use cases? What are the other use cases? That is important. Another question is very, very important, which is called types of virtual server. Everyone knows like what types of virtual server are there, but which one is useful in which scenario? So when you go to local traffic, virtual server, and you create a new one, you will see type here. Standard, forwarding, performance, stateless, reject, DHCP, internal, and message routing. But why? In which case I need to use standard, in which case I need to use forwarding, in which case I should use performance. So let's see different use cases of your virtual server. So you know you need to go to local traffic, virtual servers, and in type you will see different types. Now we see why they have given so many types of virtual server. Standard virtual server will be generally used in a scenario where the simple load balancing is required, irrespective of other features such as enhancing the behavior of incoming request. Standard virtual servers are also of two types. One is TCP and one is HTTP. So basically, when you want HTTP based features, cookie persistence, in that case, you need standard virtual server with HTTP and you require a load balancing. Then what is the difference in others where that is called performance layer 4 or performance HTTP? So performance layer 4 is also like a standard virtual server except a fast L4 profile. So this is used in a case where incoming request processing speed must be more, ideally used in e-commerce scenarios like Flipkart websites if your website is e-commerce. And where it's come up, we talk about performance HTTP. So it has a fast L4 profile and the three-way handshake with the pool member is already established. So it will also use in a scenario where e-commerce and banking scenarios are there. Just disadvantage is like in performance layer 4, it was just a L4 profile attached to it where it was increasing the incoming request speed. But in performance HTTP, it's building a three-way handshake with the pool member. It's setting an idle session first. So in that case, if a new request come, it if F5 says that I have a server which has an idle state, then it will give it as soon as possible. It does not require any load balancing algo here to select a server. So it will already have a handshake established and in idle state. What is another virtual server which is called forwarding L2. Generally, this is same as L2 traffic. When you have a VS virtual server which is a part of same VLAN group as the pool member, in that case it will use to load balance traffic which is called internal. It is used generally for load balancing internal traffic. Another important one is which is called forwarding IP. So forwarding IP is also important where you have a F5 coming in a between. Suppose you have a deployment where your F5 is already there, but you need to just act as a routing. You just need to act as an inline. You just don't win. You don't want any load balancing. Just you want your firewall is coming, then your F5 is coming, then your internal firewall is coming. So to connect between two networks, F5 is already placed and you don't want to remove it. So it does not load balance between pool member, but it will just forward the traffic based on destination IP. It's just acting as a routing mode scenario. And your reject virtual server is basically used when traffic destinate, it will drop to the virtual server. Why it is used? So ideally it's used when specific IP address or a subnet needs to be rejected or for accessing the URL. So this is very important. You need to understand the connection TCP connection setup also for this all. but in which scenario which is useful, we have discussed. I hope you like this video. We will discuss question 4 and 5 in next part 3 video. Thank you. Keep watching, keep subscribing the videos. Have a nice day. Bye.